We begin with a reality that many of us hesitate to fully acknowledge. Faith is not proven in moments of comfort. It is easy to claim belief when life is smooth, when our health is strong, our finances are stable, and our relationships are harmonious. But the true measure of faith is revealed in the crucible of hardship, in moments when the world seems to collapse around us, and our hearts are weighed down with uncertainty and despair. This is the point where belief is tested, not as a punishment, but as a profound opportunity for growth. Consider, for a moment, the psychological nature of hardship. When a person faces trials, their internal framework is challenged. Their sense of control, their assumptions about the world, even their understanding of divine justice are all placed under scrutiny. It is here that faith becomes active, not passive. It is here that belief is no longer a set of ideas or a ritual we perform. It becomes a lifeline, a conscious decision to trust in something greater than ourselves. And that choice, that act of turning to Allah in the midst of uncertainty, is what strengthens the heart in ways comfort never could. This principle is not abstract. It is demonstrated time and time again in the lives of the prophets and those who walked the path before us. Take the story of Prophet Ayub, peace be upon him, who endured unimaginable suffering. His wealth, his health, and even the love and support of those around him were stripped away. And yet, despite the intensity of his trial, his faith did not falter. He demonstrated a profound truth that the depth of our belief is revealed not in our ease, but in our endurance. When we are tested, we are given the rare opportunity to cultivate patience, reliance, and an intimate connection with the divine. Many of us, however, resist this understanding. When hardship arrives, our instinct is often to question, to despair, to retreat into frustration or bitterness. We ask, why me, why now? And these questions are natural, but the deeper wisdom lies in asking, what is this moment asking of me? How can this trial shape my character and strengthen my faith? Every test contains an embedded lesson. Every difficulty carries within it the seeds of resilience. And it is only through consciously engaging with our trials, rather than avoiding them, that our faith matures and solidifies. Psychologically, there is also a subtle but profound transformation that occurs. Trials strip away our illusions of control and force us to confront our limitations. We realize that our strength is finite, our planning imperfect, our understanding incomplete. And in that moment, when we recognize our dependence on Allah, faith shifts from being a mere abstract belief to a living, breathing reality within our hearts. This is the alchemy of spiritual growth. Suffering transforms into insight, difficulty transforms into humility, and despair transforms into trust. So today, I want you to leave with this reflection. The next time hardship comes knocking, do not recoil in fear or frustration. Recognize it as an opportunity. Recognize it as a mirror reflecting the depth of your faith. The more we are tested, the more refined our belief becomes. And the more we lean into Allah's guidance in these moments, the stronger our hearts grow. Trials are not obstacles to our faith. They are the very instruments through which our faith is strengthened. Remember, comfort nurtures the body, but trials nurture the soul. The question is not whether we will face difficulty, it is how we will respond when it comes. Let your response be rooted in trust, patience, and unwavering conviction that no hardship is meaningless, no pain is permanent, and no heart that sincerely turns to Allah is ever abandoned. In this understanding lies not only strength, but a peace that surpasses all worldly trials. When we look at the challenges in our own lives, it is often easy to feel isolated, as though no one before us has faced what we are facing now. But the beauty of faith and the wisdom embedded in the Quran and the stories of the past is that we are never truly alone in our experiences. The stories of those who came before us, whether the prophets, the companions, or even ordinary believers who persevered through extraordinary trials, illuminate the path ahead. They remind us that every struggle has been met before, and every difficulty carries within it the potential for growth, guidance, and connection with Allah. Consider the story of Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him. Betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and falsely imprisoned, his life was marked by a series of trials that would have broken anyone lacking deep faith. And yet, what we learn from Yusuf's story is not merely the endurance of suffering, but the way in which he navigated these trials with wisdom, patience, and unwavering trust in Allah. Each setback, each moment of despair, was not a mark of divine rejection, but a step toward a greater purpose. And in the end, those very hardships became the instruments of his elevation, both spiritually and materially. There is a profound psychological lesson here as well. Humans have a natural tendency to measure their struggles in isolation, as though our pain is unique and our suffering unmatched. But when we see the challenges faced by those before us, we begin to reframe our own experiences. We recognize that adversity is not a sign of weakness or divine neglect, but a shared aspect of the human and spiritual journey. This reframing alone has the power to shift our perspective. It instills resilience because we understand that if others could emerge from even greater trials with faith intact, so can we. Stories of the past also serve a critical function in shaping our moral and spiritual imagination. They allow us to witness the practical application of faith, patience, and reliance on Allah in real, human circumstances. When we hear about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions, facing persecution, ridicule, and battles, we see that faith is not merely theoretical, it is lived. They did not know the outcome of their struggles. Yet they trusted Allah fully and acted with integrity and courage. Their examples challenge us to reflect. How are we responding when our own patience and trust are tested? Are we retreating, or are we striving to align our actions with our beliefs? Furthermore, these stories carry a deep philosophical insight that life is not a random sequence of events, but a tapestry woven with wisdom, purpose, and divine orchestration. Every trial, every hardship, every moment of uncertainty connects to a larger narrative, one that often we cannot see in the immediate moment but becomes clear with reflection and faith. The more we immerse ourselves in these narratives, the more we internalize the lessons they teach. We begin to understand that our difficulties are neither meaningless nor permanent, but meaningful stepping stones on the journey of faith. So today, I urge you to look beyond the surface of your own challenges and seek guidance in the stories that have been preserved for us. Let them be mirrors reflecting the strength, patience, and resilience that is possible when one relies on Allah. Let them remind you that you are part of a continuum of believers, and that the struggles you face have been faced before, overcome before, and in many ways they are guiding you toward your own elevation. The past is not just history, it is a living source of insight. And when we allow it to speak to us, to inspire us, to reshape our perspective, our faith is strengthened, our hope is renewed, and our courage is fortified. Remember this, your trials are not yours alone. They are part of a story much greater than yourself, a story that carries lessons, purpose, and the promise of divine wisdom waiting to be revealed through your steadfastness. As we reflect on the stories of the past and the trials faced by those who came before us, it becomes clear that every hardship carries a hidden wisdom, a wisdom that is not always immediately visible, but one that, when uncovered, transforms the very nature of our faith and our understanding of life. Trials, by their very nature, are disruptive. They challenge our routines, shake our assumptions, and confront us with realities we would often prefer to ignore. And yet, it is precisely in this disruption that divine wisdom is embedded, waiting for us to recognize it. Think about the way life works psychologically. When we are comfortable, we are often complacent. Our attention is divided, our empathy dulled, our sense of reliance on Allah weakened. Trials, however, have a way of stripping away this superficial comfort and bringing us face to face with what truly matters. They expose the fragility of worldly attachments, the fleeting nature of material security, and the limits of our personal control. In that exposure, there lies a subtle gift, clarity, for when we are stripped of the illusions that distract us, our hearts are opened to truths that remain hidden in times of ease. Consider the story of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. During the early years of his mission in Mecca, the ridicule, persecution, and betrayal he faced were extreme. To any observer, these hardships might have seemed purely tragic, without purpose. Yet, in hindsight, every challenge carried immense wisdom. It taught patience, fostered resilience, strengthened communal bonds among the believers, and demonstrated to generations the profound power of steadfast faith. What appears as suffering in the moment can, when reflected upon, be seen as the mechanism through which character is refined and faith is solidified. This principle applies not only to prophets or historical figures, but to each of us in our personal lives. When someone experiences loss, illness, or disappointment, the immediate reaction is often confusion or anger. But if we pause and reflect, we may begin to see that each trial contains lessons that guide us towards self-awareness, empathy, and spiritual depth. Adversity forces us to reassess priorities, to cultivate patience and gratitude, and to recognize the source of our ultimate reliance, Allah. The pain itself is temporary, but the growth it produces can last a lifetime. Philosophically, this teaches us that suffering is not a meaningless void, but a space rich with potential for growth. The challenges we face act as mirrors, reflecting our weaknesses and illuminating areas where our hearts require refinement. It is in this reflective process that faith matures. We begin to understand that life is not about avoiding difficulty, but about learning to navigate it with consciousness, awareness, and trust in divine wisdom. Our trials become less of a burden and more of a classroom, shaping our character and deepening our connection to Allah. So, the question is not why trials occur, but how we engage with them. Will we allow ourselves to be consumed by frustration, resentment, or despair? Or will we seek the hidden wisdom embedded within each challenge, allowing it to refine our hearts and strengthen our faith? Every difficulty is an invitation to look beyond the surface, to recognize the purpose behind the pain, and to emerge from it with a heart that is stronger, a mind that is clearer, and a faith that is more resilient. Remember, nothing in your life is wasted, not a moment of struggle, not a tear shed in difficulty, not a sigh of desperation. All of it has the potential to become a source of profound growth if approached with reflection and trust in Allah. The hidden wisdom of trials is a promise that even in suffering there is guidance, even in hardship there is growth, and even in darkness there is the opportunity for light. So far, we have explored the testing of faith, the guidance offered by the stories of the past, and the hidden wisdom behind every trial. Now we arrive at the point where all of this comes together, the understanding that faith is not just strengthened through endurance alone, but through reflection, action, and conscious connection. With Allah, it is one thing to recognize the lessons of hardship, it is another to allow those lessons to shape the way we live, think, and respond. True faith is lived, not merely understood. When we face trials, it is easy to fall into passivity. We may pray, we may hope, but often we wait for change to come without actively engaging in the process of growth. Yet Islam teaches us that faith requires both reliance and action, tawakkul and effort working hand in hand. Reflection without action is empty, action without reflection is blind. When we internalize the wisdom of our experiences and then act in accordance with it, that is when faith transforms from a concept into a living reality. Think about the ordinary believers around us, people who, despite their struggles, continue to seek Allah in their daily lives. They pray sincerely, give in charity, speak words of kindness, and exercise patience even when circumstances seem unbearable. Their faith is not defined by the absence of difficulty, but by their response to it. And this is the critical point. Every hardship is an invitation to strengthen our connection with Allah, to refine our character, and to demonstrate resilience through meaningful action. The psychological impact of translating reflection into action is profound. When we actively respond to our trials through prayer, gratitude, patience, or acts of service, we shift from being victims of circumstance to being participants in a process of spiritual growth. Action empowers us, builds confidence, and creates a sense of agency, all while reinforcing our reliance on Allah. This combination of trust and effort is what produces a faith that is not fragile but resilient and enduring. Philosophically, it also reminds us that life is an ongoing dialogue between the divine and the human. Allah tests, we reflect, we act, and in return we grow in understanding and closeness to Him. Each step we take in sincerity, even if small, reinforces our spiritual foundation. And over time, these small, consistent actions compound, creating a heart that is steady, a mind that is focused, and a soul that is attuned to divine guidance. So how do we make this real in our own lives? It begins with conscious reflection, recognizing the lessons in our struggles, seeking understanding rather than frustration. Then, it requires deliberate action, turning to prayer, showing gratitude for what remains, supporting others in their challenges, and striving to improve ourselves in the face of difficulty. And finally, it demands trust, the unwavering belief that Allah's wisdom is perfect, His timing is flawless, and His support is ever present. Let this be the guiding principle of our faith, that no trial is wasted, no hardship is meaningless, and no heart that sincerely seeks Allah is ever left without guidance. The story you live today, with all its challenges, has the potential to strengthen your faith, refine your character, and draw you closer to the one who is the source of all strength, peace, and wisdom. So I leave you with this thought. Approach every challenge not with despair, but with reflection, not with resignation, but with action, not with doubt, but with unwavering trust. In doing so, you will discover that faith is not merely something you possess. It is something you cultivate, something that grows, something that shines brightest in the moments when life feels hardest. Let your trials be the crucible that forges a faith stronger than any storm, and a life that reflects the divine wisdom behind every test.